Hey everybody, Jacob here. I wanted to tell you guys that I do a lot of nerdy things, okay? Like, I play my fair share of video games, right? I know probably more Assassin's Creed lore than the people who wrote Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And in high school, yes, I did play my fair share of Dungeons and Dragons. I even had a dice collection that I cherish and became addicted to.
I'm a goblin and these are my jammies.
But despite all of this, I still have not told you guys the nerdiest pastime that I do. So, why don't we go ahead and reveal that, okay? Can we get a drum roll? Anyways, the nerdiest thing I do. 3, 2, 1... It's Paradox Grand Strategy Map Games. You probably already knew that from the title. To be fair, the YouTube algorithm does favor longer videos, so, you know, you gotta make them Benjamins. And because I don't monetize my videos, I'm making no Benjamins, but whatever. Hopefully it'll get recommended more. Okay, listen, if you're a normal person with friends, you know, stable romantic life, and no desperate need for control that you're trying to fill using computer map games, then you probably don't know what Paradox Grand Strategy games, like, are. So, let me explain it to you. Go over to the animation bubble. Come on, go over to it right now. Let's do it. Paradox Development Studio is a Swedish game developer who is really good at making one specific kind of game. Paradox makes grand strategy games where you play as usually a country, sometimes as a dynasty or aliens in Stellaris, and you try to take over the world. Paradox has 6 grand strategy games. Imperator Rome, an underrated game about ancient civilizations. No, seriously, I will fight anybody who says this is a bad game. It is not. It is a good game, and fight me in the comment section. I'm ready, okay? Crusader Kings, or as it's known, Alabama Sims, EU4, Risk for Lonely People, Victoria, the game for racist accountants, Hearts of Iron, a game for your dad who's weirdly into World War II, and Stellaris, the game that made me afraid of aliens because of what I did.
I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too. They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals.
All of these games consist of looking at maps and menus to run a fictional empire. The ultimate goal for these games is a multi-century quest to get your name to be the biggest one on the map. Now, to the average person, this sounds about as fun as staring at a world history textbook while taking frequent breaks to open Microsoft Excel. And I can't disagree with that. However, these games, much to my surprise, are actually super fun. I just did the math on my Steam, and I've spent 534 hours playing Paradox games. That's 22 days of my life I've spent staring at maps and opening menus. The best part is, I still only have a very slight idea how to actually play these games. They're super complicated. Some of these I don't get. Like, what's the economy like in Vic 2? I don't understand. Help! So, why are these map games fun? Why have I spent 22 days of my time on Earth playing these Paradox map games? Looking at the Steam reviews for EU4, you can see that a lot of people are asking the same question as me. In fact, some people have more time in EU4 than I've spent playing Paradox games. So in the Paradox Grand Strategy map world, despite having 165 hours in EU4, I'm still a giant noob. Now, I can't speak to why all these people like the game because, you know, people like things for different reasons. For all I know, maybe some of these people are just really psychotically into Google Sheets and GPS maps, but the reason I play them is that I love history. Every time somebody tells me, history is so boring, it's my least favorite subject, I'm like, no, you're wrong and probably stupid. History isn't boring, and if you think it is, it's because your history teacher sucked at their job. History is just catching people up on what happened before they were born. It helps explain why things are the way they are. Spoiler alert for human history, humans have always been just the craziest fucking species and we're always doing wild shit. Roman Empire Caligulus declared war on the ocean. The United United States went to war over bananas like literal monkeys, and the assassination of Franz Ferdinand led, in a roundabout way, to anime being created. 2020, all the crazy shit that happened last year, the president suggesting that we drink bleach.
Then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
That will all be future history that kids have to study. The point is, history is wild. Now you might be saying, but Jacob, what does history have to do with Paradox games? I'm getting there, you impatient Ira, okay? Paradox grand strategy games are at their best, for me, when viewed not as games, but as world history simulators. These map games don't really have goals unless you count achievements, so it's up to you to make your own goals. You could play as an Irish miner, form Ireland, then colonize Canada and become a world superpower. You could play as the Ottomans, convert to Norse mythology and spread Odin to the Middle East. Or you could play as a German nation in the Holy Roman Empire and be bored the entire game. The game is full of endless alternate history possibilities that make each game feel truly unique and fun. The person who truly shows this is the YouTuber Durnil. Drew doesn't play games, he watches the AI play them and form their own weird alternate history. And for watching a computer play map games, it's actually super entertaining. You should watch his channel, I'll put a link to it in the description. The game's complicated mechanics, menus, and random events all work together to create a trial and error method of gameplay that's fun for world history role-playing aspects. Although it does have a board game quality where when you're losing, it's not really a quick shot to the head, it's more of a slow death spiral. In EU4, losing means revolution, civil war, endless human suffering, and eventual collapse, so think the US in a few decades. Now you might be saying, Jacob, isn't a game based around imperialism, religious bigotry, and suffering a little callous? Yeah, but they're making a world history game. Making a world history game without suffering is like making an omelet without eggs. Plus, in this game you can play as any nation you want. You can invade Spain as the Aztecs. The possibilities of suffering are endless and equally given to everybody. I've never seen a game replicate world history in such an interesting, engaging, and honestly kind of addicting way. Although the act of actually playing the game can be summarized as Google Maps mixed with changing TV settings, the real fun is the story for the world that you create in your head. I think the best Paradox game to show this is Crusader Kings 3. In the game, you don't play as a country, but you play as a dynasty. You start as a king, then you play as a son or daughter, and so on and so forth. You lose when the bloodline dies out. It's the best game to show the world history aspect of map games because unlike the other games, it's also an RPG. Each character has different stats based on personality, and it creates really unique stories. But why am I telling you about this? I think the best way is to show you the story potential of these games. So without further ado, why don't we talk about the Burger King Dynasty in CK3? Okay, I lied. There is a little bit of ado, there's a smidgen of ado. Before we get this, I just want to tell you, if you made it this far, why not subscribe to my channel? It's fun, I try to post 2 videos a month. We'll see how that goes. Okay, enough shilly. Alright, let's get to it. Let me tell you the story of Burger King and his quest to create a burger empire in the frigid lands of Scandinavia. Burger was a greedy man, obsessed with money. He had multiple children, like Sven, Alf, and some other ones who proved not to be relevant. Burger was a devout Catholic. He planned to conquer all the pagan tribes to the north to create the Burger Kingdom, a Catholic burger-producing empire. Burger's quest went well at first. He gobbled up the small tribes like they were popcorn, and he was an obese Marvel fan. Burger faced many challenges at home. Scheming vassals wanted his throne, but Burger had a responsibility to his dynasty to ensure his children would sit on the throne. Now the political intrigue, that took a toll on Burger, and he became overwhelmed with stress. He consoled himself with whores. Burger, already wallowing in depression, was sent spiraling when his firstborn son and heir, Sven, was murdered. The entire Burger King dynasty was threatened. Alf, Burger's new heir, was not nearly as competent or likable as Sven. Consequentially, the electors voted for a different dynasty, Birger, already an old man and running out of time, plotted successfully to murder the new heir to Sweden's throne. But it was not enough. Birger died of gout, and his kingdom was given to this random child. Alf watched as his father's work crumbled before his eyes. He couldn't bear it. Alf declared a hopeless war for the throne of Sweden. Then, all hell broke loose. Civil wars started appearing one after the other. Peasant revolts, a war with Denmark, nobody knew what was happening. By the end, it was such a confusing mess that nobody in the north had any idea who the actual king of Sweden was anymore. The Burger King dynasty faded into the sands of time, forgotten, mainly because Jacob was frustrated and decided to start a new game. Alright. Okay, so you can see with the right mindset, focusing on alternate histories and stuff, why the game would be fun, and how, using those alternate histories, you can create sort of, headcanon stories about your own alternate history world. Now, at least that's the reason I play these games. I'm sure there's some people out there that play them in order to get, the max stats with all the numbers, but, to me, those people are giant fucking nerds, and their opinion does not matter whatsoever, and you should not pay attention to them. Final word of advice, if you do want to get into Paradox games and you're like me, you're interested in the history / world building aspect of it, I would recommend either going for CK3 or going for Stellaris, because both of those games feature, I guess, more heavily on the world building / lore aspect than something like EU4 or Hoi 4, and whatever you do, don't start with Vicky 2 unless you have a master's degree in 19th century economics. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Jacob. This has been Jacob's Comedy Productions. If you liked the video, please subscribe for more content. I try to put out 2 videos a month. I'm also a full-time college student, so that's kind of a hindrance on how much content I can produce. So I hope you guys enjoy. Stay tuned.